Uh, Hello. So, we're back at it again. Day two. Um, I have about an hour to work on some stuff, so I wanted to continue working on, making health this domain of dread, um, on the next day. Uh, so, yesterday was very productive. Um, really productive, like 40 minutes. And I'm happy where we ended up. And I'm looking forward to getting a little bit more done. So, let's get this show on the road. Really wish I had some like ice cream or something right now, just like some little snack. Um, but yeah. So last we had talking about just some loose ideas on what I'm envisioning with gods that are worshipped, the area itself, the setting, um, and some weather patterns that came into my mind. Um, so moving on from here, um, I would like to talk about the verticality of this domain of dread. Um, so let's go ahead and talk. Let's make a title. Um, title it. Mm, uh, the geography of hell. I kind of want to insert um, a page break here. Or like, we'll just work with this. What I'll instead do is insert a horizontal line. Create like its own little margin. But actually that's all set up. Take this thing out of here. Oh yeah, until 1 o'clock. What are we looking at? There are 3 ideas I have in mind when it comes to the geography and slash verticality of hell. Real quick, I gotta take a step back and just slow down my thought process. It seems I'm getting a little bit impatient, so let me just a few moments of pause, lower my tone, turn on the light as well. I'm gonna open up these blinds. Alright, open up these blinds as well. I only have an hour, but I do need to be patient all the same. Three ideas I have in mind for this domain of dread. I like to include an area that is frozen, an area that is hot, and an area that most reflects the material plane. So when I think of the geography of hell, right, like I said before, I need to make a world map. I don't, I want to make it something that is fairly unique though, as you know, most people do. But some sources of inspiration I'm taking from here in this like planning is the verticality found in, let's say, Elden Ring. How, you know, you have that whole underground giant area, and the game also like takes you up really high into the skies. Um, so in this case, Hell would have a world map that is very restricted in the sense of its horizontal width and what there is to explore, when most of it is actually found in its verticality. Um, each of those layers is going to be smaller than, let's say, my uh, Greigroth world map. So, like, you know, this is huge. Um, I know there's no scale, but like, this giant map is this little portion here in Iwood. It's large, it's huge. There's so much going on here, right? Um, but what I want to do instead is restrict each layer a lot more to something that is like much smaller and more easily explored. It doesn't take as many days to get from end to end. Um, and remember, this is like liminal space, so I do want to make sure that, you know, it has that uncanny uh, claustrophobia. I guess that's like not really a claustrophobic. Yeah, it's a person's condition, but confined space is what I'm looking for. As this uncanny confined space. Um, so, what I have in mind right now, or let me actually put this in notes. Add a comment. What I have in mind right now is that ground zero slash, or let me just put in parentheses, the starting area is the one that most reflects the material plane. It has the big castle and those few settlements. Following that, the issue just comes into what goes above or below it. This is where I begin to hit a little bit of a roadblock. Um, the reason why I say I'm hitting a little bit of a roadblock, it's also getting on my nerves that that period is not in the. I don't know how I can. All right. Um, what I'm running into now, the issue that I'm struggling with is like what goes above or below it. So we have this castle on this plain and these few settlements and blah blah blah. Um, and around that we can have like woodlands and other stuff like that. I think going higher and ascending the air, like climbing above the castle. Maybe you actually climb the castle. Maybe it's something like, in the surrounding areas, like large mountain tops or something. I want to have like frozen wastelands, stuff like that. So naturally, it's like, oh, it's like naturally my thought process goes from, okay, so we have the castle place, and then we go up, we have frost, we go down, we have heat, right? Polarizing ends of the spectrum. But I, though I can come up and envision this frozen tundra high up in the mountains, um, that space seems to feel almost grounded as if you were standing on the floor. I struggle to envision this fiery place coming from, like, up top. I mean, coming from below. Um, and also, it is a bit weird to have, like, this frozen wasteland up top whenever the storm comes, like whenever storm clouds come in, it rains hail, not hail, fire and brimstone. Uh, so I'm not sure what to do with this. For now, let's just put. District A, District B, District C. Uh, put it in brackets as well. There we go. District A, material plane. There we go. bit of a roadblock. Alright, let's look at images. Sometimes looking at images can help. This is sort of what I'm envisioning. But what I'm struggling to imagine here is how do we get to this fiery, brimstony area? And would you see it? You guys see it? I think I found a way to do it that I like. Let me try to capture this. So I downloaded that image. What I want to do is open with Photoshop. What I do is I want to canvas size and down height times 2. This is what I see. This is what I see. An area that you have sent upwards to, while seeing another version of yourself descend. And as you get to the top, you're basically in a new dimension entirely. A polarizing reflection of what was once true. And this really helps to play into the aspect of hell in so many ways, like good and evil, right? The idea of, like, frozen, like, cold and hot, purity and punishment, I think this is an idea we can work with. Alright. Maybe we can work with this. There's something I don't like about this, but I don't know what it is. There's a part of me that doesn't like this. I guess I wonder how much of it is being reflected, right? Alright. I need to create another comment somewhere. I would love to add some flavor text here, like hell reflects the soul and blah 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 blah. But I'm not that good at that. Can always try. Okay, I'm back. A lot of silence there. Probably about like 7 minutes, maybe even more. Up to 10. But I did think of something. So let's talk about the ruler of hell. Just for a bit. Remind anybody watching, well, tell anybody who's watching, and also just to put it down in the paper because this is a paper about making hell. So the ruler of hell is a guy named Babylon. Babylon is the ruler of hell. He is the first demon slash devil slash demon, and he deals with pacts, oaths, and promises. I don't like how you're not down below there. I will find his descriptions on the Living Worlds of Aram, which is where I get my god. I use the Living World of Aram's. It's not a living world anymore. I use the world of Aram's deities or deities. Babylon. Okay. Promises, obligations, guilt, building blocks, society, source, and main power. Blah, 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 blah. This is a symbol. Okay. Crown, chains. Really important is chains. Because promises and deaths are very, symbolic with the idea of a chain, a link, something that is meant to combine, tie two things together for eternity. Promises are not meant to be broken, and he punishes those who do break them. And with this idea of a polarizing domain of dread, right? What if there are literally chains that exist that combine these like two areas in the sky, rotating each other on an axis, which would actually create a seasonal change in a way, or maybe they don't rotate, but they do combine them all the same, sort of like a chain pulley, like this. These chains link these two different realities together, and that's what keeps them afloat. What if they do more than that? If we're working with these liminal space, how does he have control of such things? Well, these chains can, perhaps they can be representative of not only the worlds together, but also holding gravity in place, holding time in place. Nothing can break these chains, as they are, not meant to be broken. Um, there's probably things that could break the chains, but not. It'd have to be like Babylon himself breaking them. My big idea for Babylon is that, without going into too many details, because the more details I go into while making Babylon, the more I put myself in a corner, which is not something I like to do, is that he made this domain to punish people. Punishing people who have broken oaths, who have broken promises. That is why he made this domain. As for how many people can inhabit this area, that's something that I have yet to answer. I know I want hell to not have many inhabitants. So the big question is, who gets sent to hell? which is where I get a little bit lost. The way I work with heaven and hell in the world is that the afterlife, well, the way I work with the afterlife in Greigroth is that the afterlife reflects whatever each person group believe, like whatever your person believes in, and it has to be a very firm belief. Um, so, followers of Gezenarok believe that uh, in reincarnation, right? When you die, your body is returned to the soil, your spirit is returned into new life, and that is the gardens of Galhir, the place of true life, true understanding, the ability to see all that exists is all that will ever exist and is all equal to one another. Life is formless, and you must be as well in both mind, body, and spirit. Um, so they do that. So whenever they die, they get reincarnated. They get reincarnated into the people, into like the animals of the jungle, insects in the soil, um, or extremely strong and devout followers of Gezenarok are reincarnated into a spirit of Galhir, uh, which is an area that it's creatures that exist in this garden. Um, so when I make hell, which is like the stereotypical like biblical hell, basically, which is what I'm taking inspiration from. It's hard to come up with like who are its inhabitants, right? Are they worshippers of Babylon? People do worship Babylon on the material plane. That's absolutely true, and they could be worshippers of Babylon. They could. Um, it is what is the hierarchy of worshippers of Babylon, right? Some have to be eating good in a way. Others are sufferers, or are they all sufferers? Um, Perhaps the people that go to hell are actually people who the people who go to hell are those who betray Babylon. They break their oath to him. They break their they break their promise to him. Um, they are, in a way, false believers, people who have turned their back on his worship when they, originally did worship him. And that would explain the small population size, or smaller population size, right? Whenever a follower of Babylon dies, they don't just get sent to hell, right? Um, and equally, whenever a person dies, they don't just get sent to this domain of dread. No. It has to be a follower of Babylon who broke their oath to him. Those are the natural inhabitants. Broken chains has to be the symbology I use here. But the people that are sent to hell / this domain of dread are those who have broken their promise with the Dirt Prince. natural question I have is what happens to those who, don't break their promise? How do Babylon and those people get along? Perhaps they get sent to a different domain when they die. Um, Perhaps they become some form of devil or demon. Um, what happens to his devout followers when they die? For his devout and loyal and devout man, um, alright, I like this. Alright. I think that's everything for today. quick, well, I say quick, 48 minutes. Not nearly as productive as yesterday, but still decent work. I did take like 10, maybe more minutes doing basically nothing, but not bad. I'll take it. Every bit counts. I gotta get ready for work. So, time for me to go. Thanks.